YouTube? It's Charles here with another action figure unboxing, and today we're going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Alpine. This is a character I am not familiar with at all. I haven't seen him in cartoon or comic book form, but I haven't watched too much of the cartoon since I became an adult. In the 80s, the original run of the cartoon, I was very into it. But beyond that, I'm not too familiar with the new characters, and I started reading the comic book at number 300. So I'm a little bit behind there. But let's get into this. I like the figure aesthetically and all the accessories it came with. So the way I do these unboxings is I talk about appearance. How does it look compared to if it's based on a real person? Aesthetic, is it aesthetically pleasing? Then I talk about articulation. And then from articulation we talk about accessory. The three A's of how I rate these action figures. Before we open it up, let's take a look at this packaging. I like the smaller packaging, the more compact packaging of the G.I. Joes here, and it's very user friendly. If you want to open it up and keep the packaging, you can do that with it relatively intact. We have on the back a picture of him as an action shot. Looks like hanging from the side of a cliff with a gun out of the other arm, so he's clearly a climbing character, expedition type character, I guess. Very fitting. I recently got into a new YouTube channel off the topic, but it's a guy, he talks about a lot about hiking, adventuring, and climbing, called Kyle Hates Hiking, and has great high quality documentaries about what happens in a lot of the nature and national parks, national park mysteries, hiking. Very, very informative stuff, well put together. But back to Alpine here, that's how we got to Kyle Hates Hiking, is we got an adventurer himself. So let's get it open. Alright. Comes out of the package fairly easy. Now, one thing I liked a lot, I unboxed another action figure, Storm Shadow, last week, and I really appreciate the layers that comes with the action figure. You can look here, and the multiple accessories, and I think that this is going to be another one with a lot of layers, a lot of different textures, and a lot of accessories. So let's talk about the appearance first and foremost. Yeah, I have no basis of comparison for a real character here. But, I mean, it's a great model here. The paint is done very well on the face. You can clearly see the texture of the hair. Get a little look at that face scan here. And the hair. They did a great job on this head scan. And between the jacket and the t-shirt underneath, it's two separate parts here. So that's nice. You can get a little bit of movement on the jacket. And we have a climbing rope that goes around the body here. Now, one thing I really do like is that even though the jacket is not removable, it is a completely different texture and a different piece here, and it feels and acts like a real jacket. One of my biggest complaints, the first G.I. Joe I got as an adult collector, was the Roadblock action figure from around 2020, and it had a big bulky vest on it that really hindered the movement, and it didn't feel like an extra piece. I don't have it handy or I'd show you, but it was just a big bulky piece. They got in the way of articulation and it really hindered the action figure. But with these, even when they have this bulky jacket, it doesn't get in the way of the torso movement at all, and it moves like a real jacket. This gives it that much more playability. And the jacket is very nice, a lot of different textures and colors. Another complaint that I had was that a lot of the clothing, it had the same texture, it had the same feel, the same look, and the same flat color. In here, it really pops from the brown on the sleeve going up to the different texture here on the shoulder. Almost like a rubber shoulder pad going on here. Very hip stuff. And it has a harness that also doesn't move, but it is still separate piece. Here we have carabiners on both sides that are attached, so you know, very, very appropriate for the climber aesthetic. And on another note, it balances very well. I was able to send him down and get him standing here with no problem whatsoever. So now we went over appearance. Let's talk about articulation. The head is on a ball joint, a swivel. Doesn't move around that much. We got a little side to side, a little back and forth, but not too much movement in that ball joint. Slightly hindered by the collar on the jacket. And then as far as the arm goes, we have the ball joint on the shoulder and the vertical up and down. The shoulder goes all the way around. Now I've noticed that most of the G.I. Joes, including Storm Shadow from the same line, they come with a butterfly cut in the chest, so you can get a little bit more of that cross the body motion here. And if this has a butterfly cut, it is being covered by the jacket. Yeah, there is. It looks like there is a butterfly cut out on the chest, but it is made null and void by the jacket. So I think they could have done without that extra joint if they're going to have this thick jacket piece that doesn't move. Then we have, going from the shoulder to the bicep, we have a cut for horizontal movement. And then the arms, the elbows are double jointed, pinless elbows. And the hands go round and then back. I am not seeing too much back and forth mobility here on the hands. There is a little bit. Okay, yeah, there is a hinge where you can get some back and forth motion, but again made null and void by the jacket. And then on the mid torso we have a rocker that actually has a lot of mobility. The open jacket helps out with that. So the jacket gives and the jacket takes, I guess you could say. The hips are on a swivel. They move slightly, not too much. Ball jointed legs. Great mobility there. We do have a cut in the thigh for horizontal left and right movement. Double jointed pinless knees. And do we have a cut on the calf? There is no calf cut for the left or right, but on the boots there is a boot cut for left and right horizontal movement. Trying to get this, let me get this curtain here so we can get the glare off of it. But we do have a little bit of left and right movement lower than you customarily see, but it makes sense with the boot piece here. And then on the foot we have a little side to side, a little back and forth. So that is our articulation. Pretty standard for the G.I. Joe line. It varies sometimes in the torso. Sometimes you will get a rocker on the torso. But lately I've been seeing, I mean, you'll get a little bit of these ball joint swivel. But yeah, for the most part you're going to get the rocker on the torso. So we talked about appearance and articulation. Let's go to accessories, of which we have a lot of. And him being a climber, of course, a lot of them are going to be climber accessories. So he comes with a hat type helmet. It's rather snugly. That's one thing that I do not like. I do not like a hat or another small accessory that does not fit tight, because they're way too easy to lose. I know I have on both of my Lady J action figures, both of her hats that I got with each different figure do not stay on well at all. But that fits pretty well. We have two different rifles here. I am not a gun expert, so I'm not even going to try to pretend to know what I'm looking at. But I'll show you right here, get a close-up of this rifle here. And again, we have multiple textures and colors. Black throughout. The buttstock is that green, that heather army green. And then we have a magazine that fits. Let's get this here on camera. Fits into this rifle. So we have a magazine that comes with the rifle. Do we have a compartment to hold the magazine? No, we do not have any compartments to hold the magazine, it looks like. Let's see, what do we have here? Okay, yeah, it looks like we have some glasses. Some glasses that wrap around. So that's going to be an accessory that you can actually put on the G.I. Joe. And it will fit snugly, and you don't have to worry about it coming off while moving. Fits perfectly around the head and securely. Here we go. And then we have, looks like we have two. Now, I am not sure what these are called. Are they grappling hooks? Climbing sticks? I don't know. You take them and you swing them into the ice there as you're climbing. That's what these are. One for each hand. And they fit in the hands that are on here. Do we have extra hands? No, we do not have extra hands. We just have the one set of open hands, it looks like. And no backpack accessory here, which is odd, because if you look at the back of the action figure here, we have the customary peg hole for the backpack accessory, but no backpack accessory. Okay, now this is a grappling hook. And it looks like, oh, we have real rope here around the actual grappling hook. That is not sculpted plastic. That is actually a miniature rope that goes around the handle of the grappling hook. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be something that you leave as is, or if it's actual a playable accessory. Looks like, yeah, I don't think I want to unravel it. Leave it as is, but that's a nice touch as far as, again, texture, having that real rope feel will add to the aesthetic. If you're taking a picture or if you're a younger guy, the playability, which, let's be real, I know that a lot of collectors are adults who don't quote-unquote play, but these are toys. They are meant for playing. And then we have an accessory here. It looks like it goes on the tip of the second gun here. Looks like it's a bow accessory. So this other rifle is actually a crossbow. Get a look at that. So we have a lot of accessories, a lot of them climbing themed. We have two guns. One of them is a crossbow right here. And so I am very happy with the accessories, especially the details. Like the rope around the handle of the grappling hook. The black weapon here with the green buttstock and magazine. And the two climbing hooks. Really, really like the difference in texture that you're getting with this action figure. And I mean, overall, I would give it an A. If I'm trying to find any critiques or criticisms, I think that, again, I'm a big fan of the jacket, how it moves independently of the torso and arms. But I think what they could have done maybe is trim a little off of the upper arm there so we can get real use out of that butterfly cut. Because the jacket thickness right here makes it null and void. But that is just a nitpick. And then again, on the back of the jacket we have, it looks like a hole for a backpack accessory. That doesn't come with the action figure, so that's an unnecessary detail. I do love, though, like I said, him being a climber. He has all the accoutrement. He has the climbing harness with the carabiners here and the different pouches on the climbing harness. I think, you know, the backpack accessory, a lot of times it has practical uses for storage, for gear storage and whatnot. So I think they could have did something there. I think what we can do with this climbing harness is maybe we even put these climbing hooks through a few of the loops. Yeah, because it comes with different loops. So you can store some of the accessories on the harness. But yeah, as far, I really give this an A. I think it's a very high quality figure, and especially for a character I'm not that familiar with, you know, it helps that you have all of these accessories in this distinctive look and high quality. So even though I don't connect with the character on a personal level, it's just a cool toy. If you know nothing about G.I. Joes, it is still a quality action figure. I like the snug fitting hat, the shades that are very, very secure. So check this out, Alpine G.I. Joe Classified. I got this one off of Amazon.com for $20, which in my opinion is more than a fair price for this quality of action figure with all of these brilliant accessories that fit the character. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give a like and subscribe. And most importantly, keep buying them action figures. I'm out.